it's part of the learning process of cycling, and these guys will only learn from it. And look at that, interesting there, the wave there from the rider from Verandas Williams, trying to disrupt things a little bit, perhaps getting some slipstream in there from the motorbike, without a shadow of a doubt. That motorbike was just a little bit close, perhaps, for my liking. I think I might have done the same if I was that Verandas Williams rider too. So 12 kilometres to go. Here's the chase. And as we said before, the rather fragmented chase, riders going off the front, being unable to hold the wheel. It's not an overly hilly finish circuit, gently up and down before heading back into the finals finish circuit. But there's the leader of the race, clad in red and white, of course reflecting the Croatian national flag, and that's Maciej Paterski.
There's only two riders currently putting the pressure on in the front of the peloton, two of the Riker riders. They've obviously spent a lot of their effort, but in my book, if you can sit on the back of a peloton here and still be attached to it, that you haven't given enough on the front to help your team out and to try and bring these riders back. But yeah, quite clearly, the Simplon riders here from there's got a man in blue here on the front in the breakaway, also coming up here now in the peloton to start making things try and block it. And for every kilometre that goes by, they're getting closer and closer to staying away. So I think right now there is only one scenario that can really change the outcome of this race, and that is CCC Polkovic getting on the front and bringing a couple of Rust-Velo riders with them, and maybe one or two of the Reike riders, and that would potentially still bring the breakaway back. But I think it's now gone out to 1 minute and 30 with only 10.9 kilometers to go. I think this is just about over and done with.
Yeah, this is a lot will depend when we can see whether that's just the wind from the helicopter. There does appear to be a little bit of wind out there, but if we use the rule that we generally apply on the numerous commentary teams, and that's a minute per 10 kilometers. At the moment, it's in the favour of the swingometer. The breakaway swingometer is in the favour of the breakaways at the moment. And of course, they've got two Verandas Williams riders there, two riders in very good form.
Well, we've got around about 6 kilometers until we hit the circuit as well. So, you know, there's not an awful lot of open road left to ride on. There's obviously coming in past the finish line, and then there's a tight 3.4 kilometer circuit around town where you're not really going to be able to bring all that much time back, and it's going to come down to how much cat and mouse these guys are going to start playing as well. And there you go, Verandas Williams up on the front with Active Jet blocking the road.
This is very interesting. I mean, that's what you can do. There's nothing against this in the rules. We do hear and we do use the term blocking. I mean, it's not about actually sticking your arms out and riding people off the road. It's using what you have. And if you've got men at the front and there's no willingness from any other teams to make any inroads, we've got one rider here, not two, one rider from Rust-Velo's trying to take it up. But of course, CCC's Sprandi Polkovic quite happy to work with Verandas Williams to try and block here.
Well, what the Rust-Velo rider is doing here is he saw that you know, the Verandas Williams riders were blocking the road, and he actually cleared a gap. And the only way that any of his teammates or any other team could effectively get past the Verandas Williams riders was for him to get on the front and start, you know, dragging the bunch out, making it longer and thinner again, and creating some space for someone else to come up and give him a hand. And that was quite a smart move by that rider.
Definitely, but look at that. There's again, still no real cohesion. He's done what you said, and I agreed, Max. Magnus. Max? Where did I get Max from?
What, Mags, I thought you said. Which is, you know, people do call me Mags.
But no, I mean, but there's no assistance at all. We saw, obviously, Rust-Velo were chasing a little bit earlier on. They've got a rider to look out for. Roman Makin has already had a top 10 finish. Some other riders to look out for should this come back together from the young Italian squad. Liam Bertazzo. From a GM cycling team, they're a team in the green and black. Look out for Filippo Fortin. And then Radenska Ljubljana, they're a team in black and pink. And they've got Korosek and Miskulin, who've both had top 10 placings already. But at the moment, it's all about these four riders. Still that gap of 1 minute and 30 seconds with only 8.5 kilometers to go. Look at the determination on the faces of the Verandas Williams duo, Magnus Baxter.
Well, the interesting bit is going to be here, obviously, with Verandas Williams having two riders in this group, but they're going to sacrifice one rider now to really work hard to try and stay away. Or are they cool enough to realise that 8.2 kilometres, we're going to have to be messing around an awful lot to lose this amount of time over the next 8 kilometres? And also, which guy is the fastest sprinter? Who's fresher? Trying to work that out. And sometimes actually being two guys in a breakaway of 4 plays into your disadvantage unless you really get on the right side of attacks and moves and everything else. It can actually play against you.
No, definitely, but There we go. The under-23 Italian squad now put 2 riders on the front. And they, of course, have the best young rider in the form of Edward Rivasi, sitting very well on general classification at 4th place, at only a minute behind Petersky. And there we go, just on there, the right-hand side, moving up round the outside, another one of the riders clad in the black of the Randers Willems. 2 men in the break, of course, and marshalling the peloton very, very professionally indeed. But looking at the shape of these 4 riders here, all individually very, very good. Randers Williams do have the ace card, but of course the rider at the front at the moment, Jure Golsa, 37 years of age, has been around for a long time, ridden at pro-continental level, has been a pro since 2005, he's finished 3rd overall in the Tour of Austria before, so very, very good rider, perhaps more at home in the hills, but this will be interesting to see. But Randers Williams at the moment, you'd think, should have the upper hand.
They should do, yeah, definitely. Looking at the riding style of these riders, I think a man in blue here is potentially the slower of the in the sprint of the 4, and I would actually put my my money on Bernas, Pavel Bernas, as the active jet rider in terms of if we come into a sprint. You know, he looking at how he's still pedaling very smoothly, still turning over a very small gear, and yeah, with that I think he has got an well, I think he could actually do quite well on this one.
He's already had a couple of wins this year in Portugal, the Volta Alentejo. He took that in March, and was 2nd overall and won a stage in the GP Liberty Seguros Trofeo Sudoeste Alejano. That's a bit of a mouthful of a race, but clearly in very, very good form. But has he got the legs to sprint against these? But it's 6.2 kilometres to go. Still, the Italians put riders at the front, but this is looking very good. In the last 5K, Magnus have only conceded a solitary 5 seconds to the peloton, due primarily to the lack of any sort of cohesion and concertedness in the chase.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's still riders coming up, but they're coming up in 1s and 2s and getting on the front. They're doing one or you know, 2 turns and then disappearing off the back again, and that's just no way that you're really going to bring these guys back. It's coming down to 1:20 now with 6 kilometers to go, so depending on the wind and everything, I think these guys are fairly safe to start thinking about how they're going to win this bike race. And I would expect the Randers Williams riders to really start putting in a few attacks pretty soon.
Blijf erbij, blijf ervoor, hè?
Well, here we see an attack from Jordi Simon of Team Ecuador. He's riding in the King of the Mountains jersey, but he's wearing that and looking after that for the leader of the classification, Maciej Petersky. An interesting move here by Jordi Simon. He sits nowhere really on the overall classification, but we saw him active in a breakaway. An interesting move here, Magnus, trying to jump across, but nobody really seems that interested. We've got one of the Meridiana Cayman team trying to bridge across to him at the moment. They're clearly very active earlier in the race. There he is, Jordi Simon of Team Ecuador, the Spaniard riding on that squad.
It looks like Adrian Mobile have also got a few more riders on back onto the front of the peloton again, and with that the pace goes up. So looking also like CCC are very much just sitting near the front and checking things out, making sure they stay out of trouble, and that I think is going to be key when they're coming into the final 3.4 kilometer loop here, as to, you know, where they position themselves, and the safest place is on the front and just giving it full gas and stringing the rest of the group out.
Well, definitely we have seen some, especially on stage 1 and a little bit on stage 2, some more numerous crashes on the run-ins, especially on the corners in the built-up areas, as we see Jordi Simon there on his Geos bike, getting very aerodynamic. Look at that, there really is some speed in the peloton now. Just look at the gaps between the wheels, Magnus, at the back of the peloton. Great to see.
I love a bit of crosswind action like that when the pace is being driven up high, and looking like it like the CCC team were just a couple of wheels off the front there now, and they're likely to hit it hard again. So the guys in this 4-man group, they just want to make sure that they don't get too complacent sitting out in the front there and thinking that, okay, we can start messing around. There's 3.8k to go. We've got 1:10 seconds. If you start playing cat and mouse, this gap could be gone before you even realize it, and they're certainly not putting 100% into this at the moment.
They certainly are. They have to be a little bit careful here. There's definitely they're looking around a little bit, and I would suggest they need to keep pressing on a little bit. I think given that looks like a slight drag there, They may be going a little bit faster than we think. But 3.5 Ks, 1 minute and 5 seconds. Little flick of the elbow there.
Well, I would say it's down to Veranda Williams, the two Veranda Williams riders to really pick up the lion's share of the work here, because otherwise they will not. Well, they're effectively the team with the most to lose in this position.
They certainly are. They certainly wouldn't want to be in a team meeting with their director if they do lose this stage. They've ridden with real aggression and power today, and also hats off to the teammates back in the bunch trying to slow things down. But we're just with 3 kilometers to go now. The lead still 1 minute and 5, and there's the picture of Umag. Absolutely beautiful sight. But who will reign supreme on today's stage here? The riders have already seen the finish, and here they are. They're starting to weave around all over the road. But still, Veranda's Williams lead, and amazingly, that lead hasn't tumbled to under 1 minute, if that timing chip is correct. 1 minute still the lead. Remind you of the composition of this breakaway. Jurek Goltscher of Slovenia in the blue jersey of Team Fabermeyer is there. Pavel Berners in the black and red of Active Jet also in the mix, and then the two riders from Belgium on Veranda's Williams, Billy Gayton and Dimitri Claes. Who is it going to be? And I think the bunch, Magnus, have left. They're definitely too late.
Yeah, I would have said so, but stranger things have happened, to be fair.
So 2.5 Ks to go. 1 minute still the lead. A little bit of cat and mouse now. Some of the speed has definitely dropped off here, but amazingly, the lead is still the same. And a first tentative attack here from one of the Veranda's Williams riders. Up this little drag, out of the saddle on the hoods, but immediately closed down there by Pavel Berners of Active Jet. But he goes again. Great to see. Definitely got some power.
Yeah, it looks like Berners is actually just checking around him, what's happening, who's he got with him, leaving the Veranda's Williams rider there on a couple of meters, which is actually quite a clever thing to do, not to go all the way straight in onto the wheel of him. He's given himself a little bit of a manoeuvring space, and now would have been the time for the other Veranda's Williams riders to have a go. Watch out for the man in blue, though.
Yes, Yuri Goltscher getting detached there after that attack.
Yeah, but when actually coming back, that's an opportunity when you can really wind yourself up. Coming up to a kilometre to go. 1
kilometre to go now. Who's it going to be? On the front at the moment, it's Billy Gayton, the Belgian, winding the speed up, number 93. So Jure Goltscher sat on the back. Billy Gayton winding it up for Veranda's Williams. Surprisingly, Pavel Berners comes through to take a turn. That's a very, very strange manoeuvre there. I'd have thought that he'd left it up to the two riders of Veranda's Williams. Perhaps he's afraid that the bunch are closing down. They are within 50 seconds, but they haven't taken the convoy out. That indicates that there is still a relatively safe cushion, a fair distance of road. This is going to be a very interesting finish, but I'm very, very surprised to see the pole take this up. As they come into one more glance over the shoulder, who's it going to be? Coming into the finish straight now, one more glance over his shoulder. Gayton goes. It looks like definitely one of the Veranda's Williams riders. Absolutely, it's Jure Goltscher, the back. Billy Gayton. It's Gayton who leads out. Very, very late indeed. Takes the stage, the double victory salute for Veranda's Williams there. Absolutely superb wing. They were under pressure to deliver, and they certainly did. So victory there for Dimitri Claes and his teammate Billy Gayton in second. So Claes takes it. A shake of the hand there from Pavel Berners. Bit of a surprise lead out there, Magnus.
Yeah, very much a surprise that he got on the front there. That, you know, clearly would have been down to the Veranda's Williams riders to do. But as we got the full bunch sprint coming in,
and here's the bunch coming through the finish line now. There's a couple of Italians and a Russ Velo rider there in the centre, and also the points jersey leader looks like Marco Kumpf on the right-hand side in the blue jersey took 5th place on the stage to pick up a few more points in the points classification. So a very good sprint there by Marco Kumpf, but it was all too late for the Adria Mobile squad. They put men on the front with 25-30 kilometres to go, but it certainly wasn't to be. But there's your winner today. Looks very delighted indeed. Dimitri Claes waving to his other teammates as they come through the finish. It's a good feeling, Magnus, isn't it? But it's not just about the one rider that wins, but look at the joy on the face of the other riders and staff in the team as well.
Well, it is a team effort, you know. Everyone is working towards the same goal, and that's getting the team, or one rider from the team across the line first. It's a bit of an interesting dynamic as such in cycling, you know, but I like to call it an individual team sport. You can't really win yourself without the team there, and yeah, it just means that you have to really work well together, and that's why it's important to repay the favors that you're getting paid at certain points as well, like we see riders like Andre Greipel doing in the classics.
Well, it was an interesting finish here, and it was Pavel Bernish that surprisingly did the lead-up. Dimitri Claes came off his wheel and opened up a couple of lengths, and there was no way that the Polish rider was going to close down on the flying Belgian. And the first rider actually to throw his arms in the air was Billy Gayton, the teammate. But here is Dimitri Claes. Very efficient sprinting style there to take stage 4 of the Tour of Croatia, to the delight of himself and the rest of his team.